My name is Shanice, and I'm a freshman at Overbrook High School. This question is for Dwight. What was an important moment in your life, in your younger years, that shaped your life?
My 5th grade teacher, Miss Burrows, Robert Fulton Elementary School. Miss Burrows, probably more than anything, really drove me about the importance of school and education. Prior to that, I probably was like any young kid, did not understand the importance, but Miss Burrows is the person who really taught me a lot about the importance of discipline and staying focused.
Do you have any plans to allocate more money to the school district so that the children can have the education to pass standardized tests and get high SAT scores like the children in the suburban schools?
I've talked about first making a shift also from the city of Philadelphia, something that Councilman Wilson Good in terms of 58 to 60% first. Secondly, I've also talked about the need to talk about class size reduction, class modernization, also something affecting dropouts is also extremely important. Last but not least, I've talked about the aspect from the state perspective of teacher recruitment, the need to find additional teachers in terms of signing bonuses, initiatives that will basically begin to help when you start talking about the class size reduction. You need in the ballpark of about 800 teachers. So I do think basically that is a state initiative, and I believe that that would be the way to approach to get more money to the Philadelphia School District.
Philadelphia's parks and playgrounds and recreation centers have been chronically neglected, and the city's health centers, which are a safety net for families and children, are underfunded, frequently face cutbacks, and sometimes getting an appointment can take months. What will you do to support these very critical pieces of Philadelphia's infrastructure, which so many Philadelphians depend upon?
First thing I've talked about is the need for a dedicated source of funding relating to the parks. The second aspect I've talked about is the need to change the governance, that the governance is more open and transparent. Around the issue of recreation, we really need, it's a value question in terms of what priorities are set in the budget. Recreation centers are a way of fighting crime. It's a matter of changing priorities. The fact of the matter is a front-end investment, so it's a question of priorities in the budget. Last but not least, with all of these things, it gets back to if you change the environment, you change the behavior. We need to begin to move things more on the front end rather than back end. It's a question of priorities.
You supported the mixed governance model for schools, and you say that there's more time required to determine whether that approach of using educational management organizations, charter schools, state, city, school reform commission is really working. When do you foresee being able to determine success or failure? What will it take to prove or disprove that these reforms are widely effective in boosting student performance and academic success?
That's a very good question. I think that question is a question that needs to be set up by the SRC, and they need to evaluate each entity individually. Do not make a philosophical position regarding the question of if we should use entities other than the ones we've been using. I think each of them should be measured by test scores, parent participation, our kids at the reading and the math levels that they are. I think all of those things need to be factored. We all know that what we have has not been working. In this day and age, we're in a global economy. Our kids must be able to compete. We cannot continue to do the same. So in my view, obviously, each of them should be evaluated based on their performance. If they don't perform, then they should not be there.
Under your leadership, will Philadelphia continue to be a city rich in art museums but poor when it comes to art and music in the public schools? How can we tie our success in the arts to getting the arts into all our schools?
We have demonstrated with one particular school that I took the initiative to take charge of. It's Martin Luther King High School. For the last 3 years, we've had the Philadelphia Orchestra at the Martin Luther King High School. And basically, that's a partnership that we've put together. I would like to take that at scale. In order to take that at scale, we need to have partnership, but we also need to make choices and priorities about the investments of our dollars. I do not believe you're going to continue in the way we are in the funding mechanism. I ultimately believe all school districts across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania will ultimately have to be funded completely by the state. I do not believe local governments will ever have the fiscal capacity to fund these schools. Because you cannot. But in that process, we will have to change the way we deliver education. Linda and Shirley, I'd like to thank you. I apologize about a little bit on the voice this week, but it's been a little rough on the voice. You know, I applaud you for having this particular forum, and I was looking here at this picture, and when I first saw this picture in the Philadelphia Daily News, I said to myself, who gave that picture out? But you know, Fahim Thomas Charles, February of 2004, will never get the chance to have this opportunity. 10 years old, in the right place, not the wrong place, on his way to school. 90 rounds shot in the head. We are at a point in the city where we want to be in a denial mood. Every community is not the way every community should be. There are just too many people dying. I said this in 1999, and the numbers was less than what they are today. We are at a point where we are the second largest city on the East Coast and the fifth largest city in the nation. We are in America. If as many people from the Ku Klux Klan or the White Citizen Council had killed as many people as what we see today, we would have declared an emergency. I applaud the fact that Shelley and Linda are trying to bring this issue to the forefront. But until we make every child safe, until we make every neighborhood safe, the difference between myself and others who are running is they have just talked about it. I have demonstrated in a legislative district, and it's easy to check for yourself, that the level of shootings are less than any place else in the city. And I didn't do that by myself. I did that with a lot of people being involved. So in this election, as you look 41 days down the line, you can look at all our records, but you should look at what we actually have done. That's what you should look at. You should look at when I talk about transforming a neighborhood. You should look at when I decided to take over a high school and make a difference in that high school. You should look at when we start talking about building economic development in the city. You should look at when a lot of people got upset with me about the element of making changes in the school system because it was not working for all of the kids. And it still has a long way to go. But I was willing to stand out there and say, this must change. I didn't play politics as usual. I said the easy thing would have been to continue to play politics the way politics is played. This city cannot afford that any longer. You only have to look at the numbers. So we're at an interesting point. You got 41 days to go. The next person who wins this Democratic nomination will more than likely be the next mayor. All these are very fine people who are running. The question is, are they qualified to lead? I've taken on the issues. All of you know. I haven't backed away from them. I'm taking on what I consider the most toughest issue in this city, how to make this a safer city for everyone. Thank you very much.